Hello. Good morning. Welcome to Friday. Do say hello if you can see me. Oh, Susie's already there. Good morning, Susie. Hi, Annette. Look, I even set it to public with no one noticing. We're getting the technology sorted here. Hi, Helen. Hi, Penelope. Welcome to another Friday in Bizarre World. Hope everyone's doing okay. Hope everyone's coping with everything. Bit of rain here this morning. Hi, Lani. Bit of rain here this morning. We've had a lovely week. Hi, Vicky. We've had a brilliant sunshiny week, which the garden has loved, but it is appreciating the rain this morning, probably because we watered the garden last night. That's why it rained this morning. That's the way it goes, isn't it? If you have any questions while I'm doing my waffle this morning, please do type them in the comments and I will do my very best to answer them. Whatever it's about, witchcraft or what I'm actually going to be doing or about me or anything at all, really, I'll do my best to answer it. Morning, Sue. I might make it up if I don't know the answer, but, you know, it'll be entertaining all the same. So this morning, I've got so much stuff here. Hi, Ellen. 40-mile-an-hour gales there. Wow. Yep, you can have some of our rain, Ellen, when the garden's finished with it, because it did need it. So I am working, as usual, with the Flower Magic Oracle cards. The cards each have flowers, photos, which were all taken by myself from my garden. So I'm very familiar with all of the flowers in here. I've worked with them all on a regular basis. Hi, Christine. Interesting one this morning. Hi, Helen. It is the White Rose Empowerment. That photo is actually of a climber called Snow Goose, which is absolutely beautiful. Comes out as peachy colour buds and then opens to white flowers. I've actually got some. Oh, I'm giving Amy a wave as well. Hi, Amy. I've got some roses here this morning from the garden. These aren't actually Snow Goose. Snow Goose is flowering at the moment. But these are special because I've no idea what variety they are. We found a little seedling in the garden, like that sort of size. And I thought, oh, that looks a bit like a rose. Let's leave it where it is. And it's now climbing up an obelisk. And it must be about 6 foot high and about 4 foot wide now. And that's only a couple of years old. So I think that was a present from the birds, probably dropped in. One of their bird poops dropped a seed. So they're from the garden this morning. The roses are all flowering actually this morning at the moment. So white rose, and the word is empowerment. I'm not really sure that that lady is empowered, to be honest. She looks a little bit uncomfortable, but there you go. That's one of those things. Empowerment seems to be a bit of a fashionable word, really. It probably means different things to different people too. But we're going to work with it today, and we're going to do a jar spell as well with it. So we'll have a look at the meaning. As I say, do comment, do ask questions, do join in the fun. Then you won't have to listen to me waffling on for forever. So let's have a look. White rose. This is accept yourself for who you are. Know that you can then go far. Empowerment is yours to take. Step forward, it's time to awake. Take back your own power strong. Becoming a superhero won't take long. There you go. So this card is all about you. With self-love and acceptance of who you are and what you are comes empowerment, and that totally rocks. Relax and center yourself. Take back your own power and take on the world. This is about giving yourself permission to be in charge, to totally own your own space and be in control of all that you do, think, and say. Whatever needs sorting in your life, you can tackle it and make it work for you and make your voice heard. Even if it's just giving the kids a list of chores that they need to do before they get their allowance. That's a major achievement, trust me. Teenage children, trust me. Make your power work for you. Accept yourself, bring your emotions into balance, and you are well on the way to empowering you. Accepting yourself for who you are is paramount to taking control of your own life and ultimately your own destiny. Accepting your strengths and your weaknesses will allow you to better understand others. That's a lesson that it took me a very, very long time to learn. Acceptance that the world and all the humans on it are not perfect. And acceptance that you are not perfect either is a huge step forward. Let's not tell anybody that. And will help you to live a more peaceful and productive life. So you do you have your boots on? Actually, I've got trainers on, but yeah, do the job. Morning, Angeline. Morning, Eve. So rose, I use rose petals a lot. We've got a tiny little garden. I think at the last count we had something like 17 different roses in it. So they are favourites. They're also very good for all sorts of magic, rose petals. Brilliant for it. It's a good herb to use to represent the mother goddess, and also for any workings where mysteries need to be delved into. Roses and the petals have long been associated with love, so they work for any kind of love spells. You can also bring in your colour magic as well. So pink for friendship, red for passion, white for peace and empowerment, obviously. Yellow's good as well for happiness. Rose is a very feminine flower, so you can incorporate into any spell or ritual work that requires a boost of feminine energy. Sprinkle rose petals in your bath water for balancing, relaxing, and a love-filled bath. But you can use them in all sorts of things: incense blends, witch bottles, and the spell jar that I'm about to work with, or medicine pouches. They are really, really brilliant because they cover a whole host of magical properties. So Romans loved their roses, and they would use them to decorate, to throw over the floor to make the room smell nice, and would float them in their wine. Quite inventive, the Romans, really. Roman brides and grooms both wore crowns of roses. The deities Cupid, Venus, and Bacchus are often depicted wearing crowns of roses. If you were having a meeting and you wanted it to be a private one, you would hang a single rose above the dining room table as a sign that anything said over the table would be kept secret. I like that. I like that idea. Perhaps even where the idea of sealing roses came from. Who knows? But yeah, that's better than hanging a sock on the door, isn't it? Right. So that's your card for this weekend, this week, whenever. White Rose Empowerment. So I'm going to work a jar spell. I talk about jar spells a lot, so we're going to have a look at that. But let's have a look at other correspondences for empowerment. I think it covers a lot of things, and I think it will depend personally on how you feel about empowerment and exactly how you want to work with it. So I've Christine loved that idea. Yeah, it's a good one, isn't it? I like that. Good old Romans. So I've covered self-esteem, confidence, courage, strength, self-worth, and growth as well, because I think all of those things come under empowerment, and it'll be very individual and personal to each of you. So let's have a look. Cyclamen is really good for self-esteem. Confidence, benzoin, black pepper, and fennel. Courage has a huge amount. I'm going to be using today fennel and thyme and yarrow. I'll put a whole list of these, will go up on my Pathos Pagan blog in a couple of days, so you don't need to remember them all. I wouldn't. Strength, bay, black pepper, carnation, garlic, lavender, oak, all sorts. Confidence, black pepper and sunflower seed. Courage, garlic, mushrooms, sunflower seed, and tea, good old black tea. Strength, artichokes, pine nuts, raspberries, sesame, sunflower seeds again. Lots and lots of different herbs and spices and foods there that you can use for empowerment. Again, the list will go up on Pathos Pagan, so you don't need to note it all. And then we'll look at crystals. There's also a lot of crystals for self-confidence, self-esteem, self-worth, growth. Not going to reel them all off for you because you would go to sleep. I'm going to be working with rose quartz, little tiny pink rose quartz. I've got a few of them here. Hi Maria. I'm also going to be working with sodalite, which is the blue and white one. Rose quartz is good for self-esteem primarily, and also growth, and also self-love. So it's brilliant for empowerment. Sodalite is really good for self-esteem as well. I'm going to be working with pyrite as well. And there, pretty one. That one's for self-confidence. It's also good for growth. And I'm going to be working with tiger's eye. You can get different coloured tiger's eyes. This is the usual brown one, but I have got blue and red ones as well, which are quite unusual. Tiger's eye is really good for self-worth, but also for self-confidence. So they're both really good ones for empowerment. And I'm also going to be working with Carnelian. And I've got quite a few different shades of Carnelian here. Let's see if I can show you some. They come from quite a light colour right through to quite a dark reddy colour. And all the sort of shades in between. So I'm going to be working with Carnelian as well this morning. That's a really good or all-rounder one for self-worth, basically. Good for strength as well. There are a ton of tarot cards for balance, confidence, courage and strength, self-improvement and transformation. What I'm actually going to do today is work with just one tarot card, and I'm working with this tarot set because one of my favourites. Helen, Carnelian is my go-to crystal for courage. Yeah, it is a really good, strong boost one, isn't it? It's got that big, fiery passion, strength, grr kind of energy to it. Yeah, I do. I like Carnelian too, Helen. I'm going to be working with the Queen of Wands tarot card today because I'm using her as a signifier. So a signifier is a tarot card or an oracle card that you pick out to represent yourself. Look, you can see the similarities. Look, see, it's me. It's a card that I've always identified with from the tarot deck. But this one in particular, I just love the image. I think it is absolutely fantastic. And for me, there's so much power and determination in there. So for making an empowerment spell, that one's brilliant. So I'm going to use it as my signifier card. So all I'm really going to do is just sort of sit it where I'm working my spell. So I've got so much stuff it might be difficult for you to see. So let's go for it. So Flower Magic, Oracle cards, working with White Rose Empowerment. Put that there, you can't see anything. So we'll put the card there as well. Tarot card on one side, Oracle card on the other. All of my associations, my correspondences come from that one, Magical Food, and that one, Magical Herbs and Plants. Because I don't remember them all myself, but also trust your intuition and what you've got. If you're all right, I'm going to work this spell for empowerment. Have a look at what you've got. Have a look at your herbs, your spices, even look in your garden or out on your walks, and pick herbs and spices and ingredients that mean that intent to you. Absolutely trust your intuition. Lists are good, but trust your intuition. Morning, Leslie. Slept in. You're allowed to sleep in, Leslie. That's okay. Maria had this card twice now. Oh, there you go. That's a message for you, Maria. Yes, I know you're waiting for the herb one, Maria. It has been posted. Hopefully it will come to you today. Right, so let's work with the magic of White Rose then. Now, I'm going to work with a jar. Now, you may have heard me or seen me talking about food jars. It's an empty jar. Look, all gone. Tahini, which is sesame paste. So I'm working with the magic and the power of sesame today. I haven't washed it because I want to use the power of sesame. So that sounds like something from a pantomime, doesn't it? Power of sesame. That's what I'm working with today. So I haven't washed it because I'm going to keep the contents in there because I want that magic. So I'm going to work with the jar spell, and I've realised I've forgotten a candle as well. So bear with me a second. I'm going to grab a candle. Talk amongst yourselves while I grab the candle. Here we go. And the question is, what colour candle would you work with for empowerment? Do you know what? I'm going to go with the white one because it matches the white rose. I'm going to use a little one actually. See, trust your intuition. Go with it. covered in herbs from the drawer. Right, back again. Tahini. Is that a yuck face, Maria, for tahini? Hummus. Yeah, love hummus. That's tahini goes in hummus with chickpeas. It's yummy. I take it, Maria, you don't like tahini. Sesame is quite a strong flavour, and I think it is one of those ones you either love or hate. I do like it myself, which is why I've got an empty jar of it. I'll be honest, I found this. We had a spring cleaning of the kitchen at the weekend, and I found this in the back of the cupboard, half empty, but way out of date. So that's what I'm using it for. Right, so let's take the lid off. I'm not going to cleanse or do anything to the jar because it's got all that sesame energy in it. And if I just go through what sesame means, that was very organised. I've even got a bookmark. I say a bookmark. I've got a post-it note in there. So sesame magical properties are prosperity, protection, energy, strength, and secrets. It's ruled by the sun. It's got a fire and an earth element, and it's a masculine gender. So I'm using sesame for protection, but also for energy, or particularly for energy and strength, because that's going to go into my empowerment spell. Maria, it reminds me of weddings as a child, as they used to out it slightly watered down in saucers. Ooh, I'm not sure about that. When I said sesame, Annette's loft hatch opened. Shall I try it again? Open sesame. Sorry about that, Annette. I hope nothing fell out or it didn't hit anybody. See, the power of words, you see. I'm not sure about watered down tahini in dishes. Maria, I'm assuming that is a tradition of some sort. Is it some kind of folk magic to sort of bring blessings to the wedding, or is it actually for people to dip things in? Interesting. I like all these different traditions. I'll be careful of your loft hatches when working with sesame. So I'm waffling. Let's get on with it. So we're going to add the ingredients. I'm not going to cleanse the jar. I'm going to leave it as it is because it's got the magic of sesame in it. I've got various ingredients here. They're all fairly standard ones, although I have got one particular interesting one. The first thing I'm going to do is a tea bag. It was just for dipping in. I'm going to have to try that now, Marie. You know that, aren't you? Just watered down tahini. I'd imagine that's quite strong, actually. But there you go. Right, tea bag. Tea is absolutely brilliant. A brilliant ingredient. And I'm gonna read you the thing here. Good for meditation. Have a cup of tea before you meditate. But I'm using it today for courage and strength. So I'm going to open the bag because I don't really want the bag in there. So I'm going to charge it with strength and courage for empowerment. And then I'm just going to tip it in. To charge it, if you're not used to doing that, there's now tea everywhere. Take the item in your hand, draw up the energy through your feet, or from the sky or from the air around you, down through your body. You are the channel. You are not the source of the energy. Don't take the energy from yourself. You will make yourself poorly. So allow the energy to come through your hands and into the actual ingredient. If you want to say something out loud while you're doing it, you could say, I charge this black tea with courage and energy and protection for empowerment. It is that easy. I'm going to have a sweep up of tea now. So that's black tea. I've also got some white rose petals that I picked up in the garden. So they're definitely white rose petals for empowerment, and they're going in there as well. I've got some garlic here. I haven't actually got the garlic cloves. That bit jumped out, look, that bit wants to go in there. What I've got, oh, that smells. What I've got is the white papery outer casing of the garlic. That way, I save that for magical use. So that way I can use that in magic. It's got all the magical properties of garlic, but I can still use the garlic clove in cooking. See, I'm quite, I like to make the most of everything. Don't like to waste anything. So garlic is, lots for garlic, healing, good for empowerment. Protection, good for empowerment. Hex breaking, negative energies, lust, strength, courage, and depression. So we're working with healing, protection, strength, and courage for garlic for empowerment. So in that goes. Maria, didn't know you could use that. It's all part of the garlic bulb, and I was peeling it off one day and I thought, why am I throwing this away when I could use that in magical workings for the energy of garlic? And then you're also using all of the parts of the plant and you can still eat the garlic. It's also not quite as squishy, or it lasts a lot longer than a garlic bulb. So that's garlic. I've got some bay leaves here. I have got some different ones here. I've got bay leaves that have come from the Asian supermarket, which are quite big ones. And I've also got some that are from my garden that are crushed up. So I'm going to go with a pinch of bay leaves. One's from my garden. I've got 2 great big bay trees that grow outside my greenhouse, which are doing very well. Christine, garlic is great for getting rid of pesky men, hence the empowerment. I like your thinking, Christine. And of course that works the other way as well. Men can work this spell as well. We're not, it's for anybody and everybody. Whatever gender you are or identify with, you can work with empowerment spells. So bay is a brilliant one as well. Protection, purification, strength, power, healing, creativity, spirituality, and psychic powers. So loads of stuff covered there with bay. So let's take out a pinch. I like to put 3 pinches in whenever I'm doing anything, because 3 is the good old magic number. So power, protection, and strength we'll go with. The magic of bay. So that's in there. Next we have thyme. Real easy ingredient and things to get hold of. Nothing too fancy, nothing expensive, nothing exotic. I rather use ingredients that are in my kitchen or my garden and that I can get hold of quite easily. So I've got thyme here. That's all from my garden as well. Did lose quite a few herbs this year because the winter was so wet and the herbs didn't like it at all. So thyme, another one that covers all sorts of things: healing, health, peace, psychic powers, love, purification, courage, releasing, sleep, and beauty. So I think for empowerment, you're working with healing. You're also working with courage and releasing. Thyme's actually my go-to herb for healing. So we'll put healing, courage, and releasing. That smells very nice. Makes you hungry though, smelling all the herbs. Morning, Karen. For those that just joined, we are working with White Rose Empowerment today, and I'm working with a jar spell. Right, next in, peppercorns. You can use just the normal black peppercorns that you put on your food. But I just happen to have red peppercorns. I think I found them in the Asian supermarket and thought, oh, I like them. So black pepper, another one that's good. Protection, exorcism, jealousy, negativity, strength, confidence, and gossip. So we're working with strength and confidence. So strength, confidence, and protection. You only need, a little pinch, or even 3 peppercorns would be, go with it. Go with your intuition and see what it feels you need. Sunflower seeds I've got here, and these are Black Magic. They're ones that I grew in the garden last year. Hi, Stacey. You don't have to apologise for being late. I'm not checking people in or anything. Not going to write your report card. You can watch the beginning from catch up, obviously. So I'm going with sunflower seeds. They're in this one. Yeah, we grew Black Magic last year. Fantastic sunflower. It really is quite a dark brown, almost black colour. Fantastic plant. Another one that covers all sorts of things: fertility, sun magic, strength, courage, happiness, prosperity, and confidence. So I reckon strength, courage, and confidence. So let's go. Strength. courage, confidence. I saved those seeds from the sunflowers. They're actually brilliant for saving seeds from. I've got quite a few bits and pieces here. I've got yarrow next, which is another interesting one. This one's from the garden as well. Let's go to the herbs and plants for that one. You really want to find some of those. What, the red peppercorns, Maria? I got them in the Asian supermarket, but you can probably buy them in the normal supermarket. I've never looked for them in there. WXY, just remembering my alphabet. Yarrow, psychic powers, love, courage, exorcism, dreams, peace, happiness, divination, protection. So courage, happiness and protection, I reckon. So yarrow, courage, happiness and protection. These are the flowers from the yarrow plant that I picked them, dried them, and I've just crushed them up a bit so that they're easy to put into spells. Alani's the dark sunflower. Maria, yeah, it is. It's black magic. It's really good if you want to try dark coloured sunflower. And Lani says yarrow is brilliant. It is indeed, Lani. I do use that quite a bit. Next is good old fennel, one that I actually like to eat. If you like aniseedy flavoured things, fennel is brilliant. So we're going with fennel. It's just remembering my alphabet. If you've got any questions, do ask as we go along. Fennel, purification, protection and healing. Perfect. Purification, protection and healing. While you're doing this, keep your focus. Obviously, my focus is on talking to you guys, but when you're doing it yourself, keep your focus on your intent. Use the cards as your focal point. Keep referring back to them to keep it in your mind. You can also visualize the result that you want. So visualize in your head what's going through and what your final intent will be. Keep that focus because all that energy is going in with your herbs and spices into the jar. Right, and last but not least, I've got an interesting one here. This is Beltane Ashes. We have a little chimney in the garden and we needed to burn some stuff. I say needed because I like burning things. And it's safer for me to burn things in the chimney than, anywhere else, really. So we burnt all the stuff up, and it was actually Beltane when we did it. So I chucked in some herb and spices as well while we're at it, a couple of fiery ones. Cinnamon was one of the ones I put in there. And then the next day when the ashes were cold, I scooped them up and put them in the jar. So I've now got Beltane Ashes. So they're personal to me because it was my own rubbish that I was burning. So it was quite releasing. It's fire, so we've got a very fiery energy. And it was Beltane, so it's got the double fiery energy on it as well, with the strength and passion and energy that the Beltane brings with it. So I'm actually going to put a sprinkle of these in. I'm going to be very careful because it goes all over the place. But for me, this is going to bring the fiery energy needed for empowerment. And it's also going to tie in my personal energy with it. If you are working a spell for yourself and you want to actually bring something of you into it, to focus it and narrow it down, you can use a hair from your head or a nail clipping, bodily fluids if that's your choice, entirely up to you, but just to bring that personal touch into it. I'm going to pick one of the crystals, so Carnelian, Tiger's Eye, Pyrite, Sodalite and Rose Quartz I've got here to choose from. But this is going to be messy and this will eventually be thrown away. So I'm not going to use a huge piece. I'm just going to use some, I've got some little tiny pieces here. So I'm going to use a little piece of Rose Quartz because I think this is really good for self-love, which is important with empowerment. And that one's going to go in there. And I'm also going to pick a small piece of Tiger's Eye for courage and strength, and then I'm going to pick a tiny bit of Carnelian for courage, and that's going in as well. So that's it really. That's all a real mess of all sorts of stuff in there. So I'm going to put the lid on, and then I'm going to give it a final charge with my intent. So this is my intent for self-empowerment, for courage, for strength, releasing, letting go of that which no longer serves me, for coming into my own power, for courage, for confidence, for self-esteem, all that good stuff in the jar. Morning, Alex. Leslie, I would like to do a bottle for my daughter's new home. Would this one do? Would you recommend? I would recommend for a new home, I would do an actual witch's bottle, Leslie, rather than this one, because I'm going to make this into a spell in a second. If you check out my Pathos Pagan blog, there is a video and instructions on making witch's bottles. You could do one for a new home, would be positive energy, happiness, protection, all the good stuff that's needed when you're in a new home. But I would work a witch's bottle rather than this jar spell. But I'll put the link up afterwards, Leslie, but it's on my Pathos Pagan Beneath the Moon blog. Right, so now I've got my jar spell and the sesame and everything else in this. Can this jar be made for someone else? You can make it for someone else, Maria, absolutely. You've just used the focus. Where I've used the signifier card for myself, you could just pick a signifier card for someone else. If you want to write their name on a slip of paper, you can pop that in there as well. If you have a piece of their hair or a nail clipping or something, you could put that in there. But just their name on a slip of paper in there will do. But yes, I'd pick a different signifying card that you can use while you're working the spell for that person. Same with any spell, really. So right, got all the goodies in the jar, and now we're going to make some mess, actually. Hopefully not make too much mess. We're going to hope that the candle lights. Let me find a candle here that I can light and use. So, a bit of pyrotechnics here. We're going to put a candle on the top. So I'm just going to drip some hot wax. Trying not to get it all over the table, trying not to burn myself. Just put a little bit of wax. I've just picked a candle at random here. You can use a different one if you want to. This is purely for practical purposes. So I'm getting some warm wax on the top of the jar lid. Plenty on there because I don't want the candle to fall off. Please be careful, candles. Don't leave lit candles unattended. And then I'm going to set that candle in there. And hopefully it stands up. There we go. So that's your jar candle spell. It looks a bit bizarre, I know. But now we're going to light the candle to set the spell in motion. You can say a chant, you can say a poem, you can just say what's in your heart. It's entirely up to you. Spells don't have to come with poetic words. You can just literally, I light this candle with all these ingredients to bring personal empowerment. And then if you were doing this rather than me sitting here in front of all you lot, sit and meditate, sit and visualize, sit and watch the candle. I've used a little beeswax one here because it doesn't take horrendous amounts of time to burn down. You don't want a great big dinner table candle on there because you'll be sitting there for hours. Now focus on the candle and visualize. Visualize the intent and the result that you want. Think about all the things that you can let go of. Think about all the things that you can do to bring that empowerment into your life. And obviously I've worked with empowerment today because that's been the card, White Rose, empowerment. But you can work a jar spell like this for any kind of intent. It's entirely up to you. I do save some of the jars, particularly ones like this, sesame. I've got one in the kitchen at the moment that is a honey jar. They're brilliant for, in fact, a honey jar would be brilliant to make a witch's jar, Leslie, for your daughter's new home, because honey makes life sweet. So use an empty honey jar and fill it with all the good stuff. Any jars, doesn't matter what's been in it. Peanut butter's a good one for grounding. Any of the jars, all the ingredients have magical properties, so you can use the jar as a base for your magical working. I've got an applesauce jar out there at the moment soaking as well. Apples are brilliant for all sorts of things. But that's it, basically. That's your candle jar spell. You sit there and you visualize and wait till it's burnt down. You could leave the jar on your altar if you want to remind. Hi, Pia. Leave the jar on your altar if you want some visual representation of empowerment. Just a reminder, really. Or you can bury it. Not my personal choice, because although the pieces inside are biodegradable, the jar isn't. You could. I wouldn't use the jar again. I would, it's a spell. So once the spell's done, get rid of it. Tip the contents out and put the jar into recycling would be my best advice. But you can hang on to it for as long as you feel necessary. Trust your intuition. Hang on to it for as long as you feel that the magic is still working or still needs to be working or is needed as a reminder. Absolutely, as with anything, trust your intuition. So I'm going to put this slightly out of the way so that I don't burn myself, because that's happened before. So a recap. White Rose, empowerment. If anyone's got any questions, do just throw them out at me about the spell, about any types of spell, any kind of witchcraft. Can you I wouldn't use, sorry, let's start again. Maria says, can you reuse the crystals? You could, if you want to fish about in all that gunk that we've just put in there and wash the crystals, you can do, yes. I prefer to use just small, crystal chips so that they can be thrown away. But yes, if you want to reuse the crystals, you would have to fish them out of all the ingredients we just put in there, and wash them, cleanse them. You can fill the jar up. I mean, I've left that quite empty, but you can fill the jar up. I like to leave a bit of space so that the energy can move about, but you can fill it up with more herbs, more spices, more ingredients if you want to. You can also top it up. You could top it up with water or with oil. If you're working something particularly for releasing, getting rid of, or for protection, you might like to top it up with vinegar. That works very well. If you're working a dark magic one, you might want to top it up with something like beetroot juice, because that represents blood. Because, filling that jar with a lot of blood would require a vampire, probably. But I like to leave a bit of space, because then the energy's got space to move around. So you literally just wait for the candle to burn out, and then your spell is done. But focus your intent and energy. In any kind of spell work, the most important part is your will and your intent. If that's not strong, then the spell's not going to work. You've got to have faith in your own abilities, in your own magic, and you've got to have that will that it will happen, that you want it to happen. So yeah, that's it. Go with it. So White Rose, quick recap. White Rose is lovely, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful flowers, roses. For all sorts of different things. Just recap on the message. The card is all about you, self-love, acceptance. You are what you are, and that comes with empowerment. This is about giving yourself permission to be in charge, to totally own your own space and be in control of all that you do, think and say. Whatever needs sorting in your life, you can tackle it, make it work for you, and make your voice heard. Bring everything into balance, and you're well on the way to empowering yourself, accepting your strengths and also your weaknesses. I think that's an important one. For anybody that's done shadow work, it really is important. We've all got good points, we've all got bad points. So recognizing those and working with your good points, and then also accepting that you do have negative sides to your personality, and why you have them as well is always interesting to look into. Will help you on your road to empowerment. Nobody's perfect. The world isn't perfect. But to actually accept yourself as you are, or to even try and improve yourself if that's what you feel you need, is a step towards empowerment. You have the power. You are absolutely in control of your own mind. You really are. It's about finding a way to work with it to bring empowerment. As Karen, is there a spell to get your creative mojo back? don't feel I can focus properly since being poorly. I think everyone's struggling a bit at the minute. I think it being the world situation is at the moment, everybody's kind of lost a bit of zing somewhere along the line. You could work a jar spell for creativity. That's very, very straightforward. Jar spell would work perfectly for creativity because it gives you something to focus on as well. Let's have a quick look, see. Creativity, bay and beech tree. So bay leaves we used today, and beech leaves, they're both really good for creativity. Let's have a look in the food one. These are my books, people's, just in case, you know. I just don't remember it all. Got a head like a sieve. But trust your intuition as well. Look in your cupboard and think, right, what means creativity to me, and see what jumps out at you. Okay, so there's quite a lot of foods. Bay leaves, obviously. Chilies are brilliant for creativity. Dried chilies, fresh chilies, chili seeds, absolutely brilliant for creativity because they've got a big fiery energy and they'll give you the power and the boost that you need. Paprika's the same because it's chili based. Gives you that extra boost, and it's got that fiery passion and creativity energy. Good old pasta. You could pop some dried pasta into your jar spell. That's really good for creativity as well. And that just dried pasta always makes me think of the little picture frames we used to make as kids. Like you come home from school and you'd made your mum a picture frame with bits of pasta stuck to it, or a necklace with pasta tubes strung on a piece of string. I think that's perhaps where the creativity connection comes in. Tomato, really good for creativity. If you're working with this kind of jar spell, I'd just pop some tomato seeds in there. All the little green tops that you get on the tomatoes. Eat the tomato, save the little green tops. They've still got the tomato magic energy in them. Vanilla and yogurt. Yogurt would be quite messy, but you could pop that in there. It's in a jar, so it's not a problem. So yes, absolutely, a jar spell would work brilliantly, Karen, I think, for that. If you've got a vanilla extract or essence bottle that you've finished with, that would be perfect to actually work your spell in. But go with your intuition. Have a look in your cupboards and see what you've got. Christine says a pasta necklace is good except when it rains. Now, I hadn't thought about that. Don't wear your pasta necklaces out in the rain. Wise words, Christine. Maria, attempting the daily witchy challenges. I found they've helped to bring me back into focus. Excellent, Maria. I'm so glad they've worked. If anybody is over on the Kitchen Witch Coven Facebook page, we have been posting regular witchcraft challenges over the last month or so. Just little daily challenges to get your focus back, to get you back in the groove, to keep you connected. Straightforward ones, nothing very complicated. So if you want to have a look at the witchy challenges, they're over on the Kitchen Witch Coven page, or group, sorry. Thank you for that, Maria. Alex, Scotch bonnets. Yeah, you could use Scotch bonnets in your spells. Personally, I wouldn't eat them. I don't mind a bit of chili, but I don't want my head blown off. But Scotch bonnets would be excellent. Karen, yeah, have a look in your cupboard in your garden, Karen, and see what jumps out at you. See what you connect with on a creativity level. It's your spell. It's got to be personal to you. So absolutely go with whatever you've got to hand, really, and what works for you. If you don't want to do a jar spell, you could do a spell pouch like I did last week. That's up on Paper's Pagan blog as well. Just pop all the bits and pieces into a little bag or an envelope, and you've got yourself a spell pouch to work with. I think the actual action of creating something will help you bring focus on your creativity as well. So, yeah, use whatever you have to hand. Good old kitchen witchery. Use whatever you have to hand. So that's it, I think, unless anyone's got any other questions. If you have anything in particular you want me to work with or talk about, do give me a message. Eve, I've just gone to put amethyst chips in my witch bottle. It's got cobwebs in. There must be a spider in there. So you left it in the garden. Excellent. I do pop cobwebs into my witch bottles anyway, because cobwebs to me symbolize the web of life. But excellent. You must have brought some stuff in from the garden, popped it in the witch bottle, and it had a little spider on. Yes, definitely check your ingredients, if they're fresh ones, for any livestock, insects, before you go in the jar. I'm glad it was released to the garden, Eve. Alex, a happy jar. Each day pop a note of a happy moment or a nice thought. Yeah, that's a brilliant idea. If you write on a little note, pop it in a jar. Or a memory, happy memories, pop them in a jar. And then if you're having a bad day, or if you want, leave it for a year or so, or a month or so, and then you can open it and read the nice happy thoughts. Definitely a boost. Thank you, Christine. Thank you for joining me. I love chatting to you guys. Anything you want me to talk about, just message me and I will attempt to talk about it, or any spell work you want me to go through. I'll do my very best to do so. We've got another Waffling Witches over on the Kitchen Witch Coven group in a couple of weeks. Check out the Coven for details. For Kitchen Witch students, we've got a private student chat on Monday. Check the student group for more details. As Kitchen Witch, we're also hosting a live online solstice ritual on the 21st of June, 9:30 in the morning. That's over on the Kitchen Witch Coven. Again, check the Coven for details. We're doing lots of lives to keep people in the loop. So do check out all the details on the Coven page. But that's it. Thank you so much for joining me, everyone. It's always fantastic to have all your questions and your responses, and just to sort of see your hellos. It's nice to talk to someone. You're very welcome, Alex. It's part of what I do. I get a lot from it as well. I've learned things today. Hopefully you guys have as well. It's all about sharing, isn't it, and supporting each other. So thank you so much, guys, and I will catch you again next week, if not before. Have a good weekend.